The NBA for 75 years have definitely been trying to stay with the trends. They try to edge new rules, new characters, and let the stars shine, in other words. But through the changing trends, from fashion to apparel to the actual language of basketball, it is a very lucrative sport with more international appeal than American appeal. A lot of people believe America is the number one home for basketball. This isn't true. China is the number one place for basketball. Chinese play basketball almost all the damn time. They're almost addicted to watching it. They love the game. They have their own leagues. It's a home for it. Now, LeBron James, it came at a time when the NBA were dwindling at their lowest point. Kobe Bryant wasn't the apple of the eye of the NBA anymore. The Lakers had just won 3 championships and the ratings had started to plummet. And the reason why is they had no one to be the villain. Allen Iverson was the NBA, but David Stern didn't see it that way. He didn't see Allen Iverson as the guy who everyone wanted to be like. He saw him as the villain. He's the antagonist. And everybody wants to see the good guy, which is Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, win. But see, here's the problem. Kobe wasn't leading the Los Angeles Lakers. It was never Kobe versus Allen Iverson. It was Shaquille O'Neal's team versus Allen Iverson and the 76ers. So while AI was this huge star, you had Kobe really being a co-writer of the situation, ready to lead the ship. But he was not the Kobe Bryant that we know of today. It took time to evolve. Now, after winning 2 championships back to back, they thrived. Then the year after was the huge drop off when they played the New Jersey Nets in the NBA Finals. This team was loaded, had Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, all of these players, but nobody was really interested because they were considered to be the past. Allen Iverson was that future. That's who they wanted to see. And they didn't get it. So people's interest in the New Jersey Nets, they weren't really covered by the NBA that year. They were just a team that were winning games, but they weren't really featured. They had characters, players, but no real characters that stood out. Vince didn't really stand out that much. He didn't have a personality of somebody that really goes out and say, hey, look at me. It was nobody with really any edge except for Kenyon Martin. Now, if we look further more into it, the NBA ratings were down. They came to the end of the NBC ABC deal, I mean, Disney stepped in, and the reason that that deal happened is because the XFL came along and NBC put 35 million into the XFL rather, the first time around, and it bombed, and they lost 35 million on that deal. And then the NBA came along and they was like, well, you guys just lost 35 million of the company's money on the XFL. Dick Ebersol tried to get that off the ground. So, you know what? We're out. So Dick was like, all right, well, we don't need the NBA no more. I only had it when Michael Jordan was playing. Now that he's done completely, y'all can have the NBA. Every time we had something go away, we were number one. But they began to tank and weren't number one anymore. Their programming was subpar at best. It was falling apart quickly. But what was also falling apart was the NBA. The San Antonio Spurs, once again, a great basketball team, won their first championship with the new cast. It was really their second for Tim Duncan, but they beat the New Jersey Nets, who made it back to the finals again. But not only do you have the quietest man ever in Tim Duncan and David Robinson, you had a team that's basically unknowns. No one really knew anything about them. They were just there. And because they were there, this was the layout. This is how the cookie crumbled. Now, to say at the least that this was a moment of chance or a moment of opportunity, the NBA were at one of its lowest points. The ratings had dipped on TNT, TBS. It had dipped on ABC. It had dipped on ESPN. And it looked like there was no way out. Then they decided we need to change this game. So in 2003, they find their phenom. They back the money truck up. They launch promotions. They're saying, this is the chosen one. This guy's going to be our new Michael Jordan. This LeBron James has to work. And if he don't work, we're going to make it work. We're going to put him in Cleveland. We're going to make everything easy for him, so that this guy makes it. Because the league and all the future deals and everything depends on it. The Lakers play the Pistons in the NBA Finals and lose to the new bad boy Pistons. But you had an identity now. We finally had a team with an identity. But they weren't mean enough to carry the torch, while the NBA tries to develop their new Jordan in the East, LeBron James. All the articles were flying out, comparing him to Jordan, Magic. He hadn't even played a season yet, and he's already being compared to the legends of the game. But he was such a nice kid, had such a great smile, he could sell it. Now, his first season was decent for a rookie. He did well. He was pushing the NBA forward. But as you can see, the numbers were going up and up and up. Then they had to create the big three. We got to get Boston back rolling. While we are maturing LeBron, he's this plant that we're nursing and getting ready to grow. We need to make money now. So we're going to create this big three in Boston because the Lakers in Boston are the two cornerstones of the league. We got to get that going. We got to have some rivalry. We got to have some personality on the East Coast to make it a challenge for the Lakers. And it worked. Putting Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett together, they were able to win an NBA championship over the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe had won Most Valuable Player that year. He had finally gotten past the Colorado situation, which really derailed the NBA of trying to promote him and making him the star. So now they've moved past it. Kobe's the Black Mamba. This is great. The ratings are through the roof for those finals. Then in 2009, the ratings were dipped a little, but still there as they beat the Orlando Magic. LeBron is getting his feet wet. Then again, the Lakers go back and play the Boston Celtics the following year, where they won. Now, the Orlando Magic was supposed to lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers that year and play excuse me, I had to burp. They were supposed to play against Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. This did not happen. LeBron would fall short, and they had to play Dwight Howard and Orlando Magic, and they won pretty handily, but still, they won. Now, moving on along, after the Boston rematch, the ratings were through the roof, but now it was time for the LeBron era to continue. Now it's time to get this guy winning. Since Cleveland was a dump site, moving LeBron to Miami was a strategic move that the NBA was all in for. They just did this in Boston. They did approve all of this for Boston. Now let's get these young guys together. They want to group up and do the same thing Boston did. Because LeBron's like, man, Boston teamed up. We need to team up. And we all take 3-year deals. It's going to work out. So while they was overseas, they all colluded to do this. Carmelo said, yeah, but when it came down to it, he took the $100 million. Said, I can't risk leaving that kind of money on the table to take some $20, $30 million deal, then renegotiate in 3 years. What if I get hurt? Then what about my family? So you have to start thinking of that. So he stayed in Denver and took a long-term deal and got the money. Meanwhile, they took a 2-3 year deal so that they could renegotiate. Plus, they can free up money to load the team up. So they took Chris Bosh in place of Melo. So Bosh, Wade, and Melo. Melo's in Denver, so now it's Bron, Wade, and Bosh, right? So all them three. They ended up winning championships. They had the Miami rise, and the ratings were good. Then LeBron, those last 2 championships in Miami, the ratings dropped. 4 consecutive finals. They win 2 out of the 4, but the ratings drop. LeBron and the Heat were blown out by a record 20-something point plus almost every game they lost in that finals. When they lost by 5 games, they were eliminated. They weren't even supposed to make it that year. They were that bad of a basketball team. Now, after that, LeBron leaves, goes back home to Cleveland. They get to the NBA Finals again because they got to put LeBron there. They have nothing in the East. So they move LeBron back to Cleveland. The East still got LeBron. Now, he's going up against the new phenom of the NBA, who just came to be this flower that the NBA didn't even plant or water. It just grew out of nowhere. Splash Brothers. Clay and Steph. They have lit up the NBA. And oh baby, they are must-see TV. All the little kids are like, this guy is shooting from like half court that's going in. And then his other buddy, Clay, he can hit too. They can't be stopped. The Splash Brothers. And 2015 was the birth of Steph Curry into superstar. Every little kid wanted his jersey. They didn't care if you were in Denver, Sacramento, San Antonio. He ran the NBA. They loved his smile, his gimmicks, the shimmying, all of it. He was having fun. He's married. Now it's like, oh, wow, we can do a feature on his wife. And he's the son of an NBA player, Dale Curry. We saw this coming all along. Let's go dig up childhood footages of him going to camp. It was on and popping. On and popping, ladies and gentlemen. But it's always a problem. This is supposed to be the LeBron coming in back to Cleveland era to bring a championship. So after losing humiliatingly to basically some rookies, in other words, in 2015, they come back the very next year. The Golden State is the best team in the NBA, broke the Bulls record. And they come back from 3-1 and win. The ratings are through the roof. Then the NBA gets another bright idea. Let's just keep running this until we get something else built up. Let's just keep running this wheel back and forth. People are loving it. Why change it? Cleveland, Golden State. 3 years in a row. Then you know what? For the 4th year in a row, why not? Cleveland and Golden State. You have learned absolutely nothing. Nothing from David Stern. David Stern wouldn't even do that because you are not giving have one of those teams there. But you can't keep running the same team back to back to back to back. People are going to get annoyed with the other teams. But why would they want to watch it when they know at the end of the season it's going to be these two teams in the finals? So what are they going to be interested in the first round of the playoffs for? Why would they watch the second round? Unless it's just these two teams. It's like, well, we don't care. Let's just get to the finals. And for years, that's how the NBA was treating the playoffs, which is their bread and butter. Because Adam Silver didn't seem to understand or know what he was doing. And they started giving LeBron too much control, too much power, too much influence. And once he has that, he wants to control the narratives of how all-star games are played. He wants to change all of these different narratives of what they do to jazz up things. He's having way too much influence and power on the players' union. that's supposed to keep players like him in check from doing things that goes against the players. And then, check this out. Check this out. It gets even worse. The ratings take a huge plummet. A very huge plummet after the Golden State Warriors go 5 straight times to the NBA Finals. And they play against the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. Now, I love that NBA Finals, but Kevin Durant was basically out. Klay Thompson got injured, out. That team was burnt. They had been burning the candle at both ends. And they were done. And that was the first time LeBron James, who had been to like 6, 7 straight, or maybe 8 straight NBA Finals, which was an insult to anyone who knows sports, realized that the NBA kept putting him there. See, the thing about a magic show is the people have to actually believe in magic for it to work. That's the key of a magic show, a good magic show. People have to believe in the magic. It has to actually look like it's fooling people. They had totally forgotten that element. Now, and don't forget to hit the like button, people. I am really sacrificing a lot of time to tell you this today. And this should be going on my Patreon, but I'm giving it to you right now, fresh off the presses. So all I ask is you hit the like button. Thank you. Now, going into this process, all the dynamics are changing for the worse, not the better. Players' attitudes are changing. You have difference of opinions. You have everyone believing their ideas are the best. And you're seeing more players trying to alter their game to be more like Steph Curry, Dame Lillard. You got all these players trying to do what Steph do, and everybody becomes, the whole league transforms into a 3-point shooting league. Everybody's doing it now. They're averaging 53 pointers attempt in a game. The Houston Rockets, their game is now 3-point shooting. Now, the Rockets are the team everyone thinks are going to the championship or to vie for a championship. But it was up. The interest of the NBA was up. The potential was there. But what happened? Players started to see how LeBron pick and choose where he wants to go. Other players want to pick and choose where they want to go. They say, hey, LeBron can do it. We can do it too. This is where the bad ideas come in at. And now you got players going to a team for 1 year, and all these fans buy these jerseys, and then that player leaves and goes somewhere else in another year. Now you got players demanding where they want to go when they get traded. When free agency was up to them and didn't affect the team, it was the team's decision what was the best place to send you when they trade you. Now players are trying to monopolize both sides of the coin just because I want to go play with my friend. It's like, what? Yeah, he's my friend. I want to go play with him. So I'm going over there. And the selfishness of it started to creep in. But what did they learn it? LeBron James. And people were growing tired of LeBron because he's oversaturated. They put him in all the commercials. He's in everybody's storylines. He wants to be the face of Black Lives Matters and Black History Month. He wants to be the speech giver. He wants to be all of it. Till year round, it's always his mug. Super Bowl, anything. There's LeBron. And people are just sick of him because he's an attention egomaniac. You know, it's just like an attention seeker who just feel like he got to be seen 24 hours a day. He don't want to give anyone else the room. He don't want to give anyone else the mic. Nothing. It's like, let someone else take the mic for a minute. It's like, all right. Now it's all going downhill. It's all ruined. It is in shambles. Since 2017, I have watched the NBA just focus on the NBA Finals. It's actually been longer than that, but 2017 was like one of the worst. Seriously, it was like one of the worst times ever. Because it was like the most 20-point blowouts in the history of the NBA. There were 20-point leads in like every game. Like it was the most victories by more than 20 points. Then I've seen one team where I think it was, I'll say Toronto and Boston or something, where one team had a 20-point lead, the other team came back, and then they won by 20. It was that bad. The competition level was out the door, and then they're arguing at the competition committee like, what are we doing? How are these games this bad? No one's going to watch this. Then you start seeing sweep, 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 sweep. You had Cleveland losing only one game. You had Golden State basically sweeping every game. So neither side was losing here. They had lack of games because lack of interest. So they were just moving things along to the finals. People, I can't make this up. I wish I could, but I can't. This is exactly what it is. It's sad because this is the league I love. Grew up on the sport of basketball, loved it tremendously. Just did not think it would ever come to something like this.
No, thanks, we're okay.
So, looking back at everything, I'm saying to myself, man, this is a pretty messed up thing, you know? It's pretty messed up. And the reason why it's pretty messed up is because the league was in a position where they could have ran the table. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of young talent that was in the league that they could have marketed a lot better, but they kept their flame on LeBron James. There were a lot of good basketball teams in development, but they kept the flame on LeBron because they were afraid to let go. And that's something you can't do in the NBA. You can't be afraid to let go. They turned against Kyrie Irving. You let LeBron James turn against Kyrie Irving, who was your Allen Iverson in the East. But you let everybody turn against him and make their own narratives. So now, okay, you got everybody turning against Kyrie Irving. For what? This is your future. Now you got Trae Young in the league. Luka Doncic is in the league. The league is turning around to where all of this new talent is coming in. Guys are playing basketball. And you got this player who's way past his prime trying to milk the clock. And rather putting him out the pastures, let him get his applause and, let him get his little points and go to the bench and everything. You're still painting him as the face of the league. Meanwhile, your young talent that's trying to grow and they're banging on the door saying, why are you doing this? John Morant should have been your main market guy last year. Somebody had to tell y'all the memo saying, man, this John Morant guy, he's in the top search engine. We got to start putting their games out. Why are we so focused on the Lakers? Why do we have the NBA and ESPN still talking about the Lakers? But now you see that the public don't care about watching ESPN. The majority of them don't do it anymore. They only tune in to watch the games because they're seeing so much trash on a lot of these so-called sports shows that just keep the same topic every single day. It gets nauseating. So if you miss an episode, it's not like you missed anything. It's the same topic. Just keeps getting regurgitated. They pretty soon gets tired of the food. While on social media, it tells you the top most searched people on the internet. John Morant, Steph Curry. These guys are in the top search engines on social media. Like people go back to watch their highlights. Steph is number one. It's been Steph Curry's league since 2015. So my thing is, that was about 7-8 years ago. It's been Steph Curry's league. He has the torch. LeBron, they could falsify and try to make him the leading vote getter by lying Donald Trump in the votes. You could do anything you want. The general public knows. Nobody's focused. These young kids ain't focused on LeBron. They like Giannis. They like Steph. These are they guys. Trae Young, John Morant. It's the new generation. LeBron James is the grandfather in this. He's grandpa. So grandpa is still in the game. Wade's gone. Melo is still hanging in there, but it's over. And grandpa just don't want to go sit down. Grandpa think he can still run with the big boys. And it's like, yeah, you can still go, but for how long? Like me, shoot, of course I could play ball and beat these guys, but it's some of these guys. Now I ain't talking about NBA players. I'm talking about like me playing against my nephews or something like that. Yeah, I could be successful, but for how long? And now the NBA delivered so far the first round of the playoffs this year. It's still going on, and they did 4.5 million viewers And that's the largest numbers they did since 2011. Let me tell you again, since 2011, this is the best numbers they've done since then. And you might say, well, why this year? Why this year? What's so different now? Well, what's different now? Teams. That's why. Teams are different. You actually were promoting teams. Teams mattered. Last year, the NBA failed at marketing teams. The Utah Jazz was the number one team in the NBA, and they kept their focus on LeBron and the Lakers yet again. And Donovan Mitchell got hurt, and that was their season. But matchups matter. Ja Morant is one of the most watched people in the league. And his Memphis Grizzlies, which played well last year, before they strip mine the team to try to strengthen all these other teams up, they played well enough to be number 2 in the West. And the matchup against them and the Minnesota Timberwolves was excellent because now the Timberwolves was coming into their own. They got the cat playing better and well. So they're going to go back and forth like two heavyweight juggernauts, throwing blows. It's going to be a great series of basketball. And those two seem to want to, they both are up and coming. Young teams, small markets. So Ja Morant don't have to leave Memphis Grizzlies to be seen or to be great. People are watching the games. It's not about where you at, it's how you play. The people will find you. They don't even have to go to the games anymore. Everybody's streaming it and watching the games. They know that's all they have to do. The Phoenix Suns and the Pelicans. Great series. And that's a 1 seed and an 8th seed. But who was a dangerous 8 seed that you didn't want to see playing? The Pelicans. They're a dangerous team. And as you can see, this is why they're dangerous. You got Brandon Ingram. You got CJ McCollum, which was a great pickup for them. They needed another guy that could open up the floor, that could take the pressure off B and open up that lane for him. Now they got to respect CJ. That opens it up for everybody else's game. You know, it's going to be a heck of a series. You got the Dallas Mavericks. Even though they don't have Luka, they're going against the Utah Jazz. Another equally matched team. Two teams that kind of like mirror each other in styles. Going to make for some great games. Golden State versus the Denver Nuggets. That's another series that could go either way. On the East, you got the Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks. That's a game that could go either way. But you got a team that barely made it, and Trae Young, a dangerous team, going up against one of the best defensive teams in the Miami Heat. You got Philly against Toronto. Still, interesting matchup. Even though I think Philly should win, Toronto is going to give them a good run, or at least make the games a little close. Now, you got Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. They're right by each other. Small travel, small commute. Milwaukee is like 1 hour from Chicago. And they're playing in the first round. So each team is well familiar with the team that they're facing as far as fans and everybody else. Bucks fans can't stand the Bulls. The Bulls fans can't stand the Bucks. Then you have Boston and Brooklyn. Brooklyn is taking the place of the Knicks. New York don't like Boston, and they don't like to be compared to Boston even though they're close. They're about 2 hours away from each other. Again, familiarity plus the talent. The young talent on Boston with Jason Tatum, Brown, Marcus Smart, and all those guys versus Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, the apple of the league. This is why people watch the NBA. They want to see competition. This is the most competitive first round as far as matchups the NBA has had in years. This is why people, it's like if you build it, they will come. That's what this is. If you make the matchups, people will come. It's as simple as that. Now, people want to know how I think the playoffs is going to play out. It's going to play out like this. Thank you guys for the super chats and cash apps. God bless you all, man. I really do appreciate it. I think the Dallas Mavericks will beat Utah. I think Luka probably comes back and finish that game. I think they go 7 games. And I think the 7th game in Dallas, Luka comes back and they win that game. They'll end up playing Phoenix in the second round. Maybe. But I do think Phoenix will beat the Pelicans. So you have the Sun versus Dallas in the second round. That'll go 7 games. And I do see the Phoenix Suns getting by. And getting by Dallas. You know what? F that. I'm throwing a monkey wrench in it. Dallas beating them. Yep. Luka gonna beat the Suns. That's it. They going to the next round. So that's it. Dallas is beating the Suns. Then I got Golden State going up against Memphis. We got Ja Morant versus Steph Curry. Another great matchup. And I think Steph beats him. Goes to the finals up against Luka. So you got Luka and Steph battling to see who's going to the NBA Finals. And in a battle of 6 games, the Golden State Warriors will beat the Dallas Mavericks. And the NBA Finals will be Golden State. I see Brooklyn beating Boston. And they'll play the Milwaukee Bucks in a rematch. This time Brooklyn beats the Bucks. And you got Miami. They're going to beat the Atlanta Hawks. Play Philly. Philly will beat them. So now you're going to have Brooklyn versus Philly in your Eastern Conference Finals. And Brooklyn will beat the 76ers and go to the NBA Finals, where it'll be the Golden State Warriors versus the Brooklyn Nets. Let's go. Let's go. And who I see winning it? Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Oh, man. Brooklyn, baby. Yeah, that's a wild throwing guess, but that brings a lot of excitement. Every series, all the way to the championship, should have fans glued in. And you don't need, you know who? LeBron. His time is up. He's had his time. People are moving on. It's time to get him out of there. It's time to move forward with the new, the new. It's not about individual, it's about team. Team play, team ball. This ISO LeBron ball has got to go. You know, it's done. You know, you got players, younger players in here like Giannis and guys like that. You know, they want to be the face, and it's time for them to shine, and they can't because we gotta stay in the shadow of the old man who don't want to get out of the way. So I'm proud of the NBA for what they were able to accomplish with this first round so far and why the ratings are so high. Well, you know Nielsen's ratings. It's up 37% compared to last year, and it's all due to matchups. So the competition committee, the general managers, the owners who've done their job in grabbing certain personnel to improve their teams, trades, they've done a great job in getting the best out there. And you're seeing good basketball. So that always makes the games exciting. Last year, first round playoffs was 2.9 million people. (2019) it was 2.8. Well, we can't do 2020, can we? Exactly. We had a play-in bubble tournament that happened in like what, August or something like that. So, whole different world. The Bucks and Bulls on Sunday night drew the largest postseason audience on cable since 2018, averaging 4.7 million viewers and a 2.2 rating. It's pretty high, you know. That's what I always say. It's pretty high. So, thank you for your time. Hopefully, you new guys subscribe to the page. Didn't want to make it this long, but I wanted to make it all clear and concise so that you can have every bit of the details you need. It's your boy Carcino. I am out. God bless all of you. Enjoy the games.